I'm in no rush with Iran. I'm never in a rush. If you're in a rush, you get yourself in trouble.
All right, so Daniel, there you go. The president saying he's not in a rush, but of course, you can only take so much time to negotiate these things. What's your take on the way that he has to handle Iran?
Well, I'm going to leave the foreign policy to Ivan, but I'm as concerned as any American citizen about the situation over there. But I would say with China and trade with China, there is some urgency because those tariffs are doing immediate damage to the U.S. economy and our position in the world. The rest of the world's moving ahead. They're not standing still. Europe has signed a trade agreement with Mercosur, Brazil, and Argentina. That's going to put U.S. farmers at an increasing disadvantage. So on the economics, I'd say that there is an urgency. Let's get rid of those Section 301 tariffs. We can work with our allies to bring cases against China in the WTO. We can have direct legal action against companies like Yahoo, if that's an issue, rather than these blanket tariffs that are causing multiple damage on both sides of the Pacific.
Yeah, well, Ivan, let me kick the Iran question back to you, though, because obviously it does have an impact on the price of oil. And OPEC is meeting in Vienna today and tomorrow. The cartel is expected to extend production cuts for another 6 months. Iran's oil minister, though, warned that OPEC could die if Russia and Saudi Arabia keep unilaterally making deals with each other. So what are your thoughts on the way Iran is now kind of on the outside looking in?
Well, I think, OPEC's always been unstable because they can really have much less impact on the long-term price of oil simply because their members always cheat. And now we have, as you point out, Russia and Saudi Arabia are cutting side deals. Russia's not a member of OPEC. And so, you have all this other extraneous things. So I'm not sure it's just Iran on the outside. I think it's a lot of other OPEC producers as well. But the real problem here is that the horse is out of the barn. Trump foolishly got rid of this Iran nuclear deal. And I think it was a mistake because the agreement was verifiable, and it also at least prevented Iran from getting a nuclear weapon for at least 10 to 15 years, and that's better than nothing. You can go beyond that and negotiate their support for terrorists or their missiles or whatever, but you don't tear up the agreement. And now that's where he is, and this is just a symbolic cheating by Iran. What they're trying to do is get the Europeans to give them some sanctions relief, which they were promised under the agreement, but then the U.S. pulled out of it, and now the U.S. is not only reimposed sanctions, but is putting the screws to the Europeans and saying, well, you're not going to get very much access to the U.S. market, or we're going to restrict that if you don't play ball with Iran, which is absolutely foolish. Extraterritorial sanctions are just awful.
Well, I mean, now it's not just Iran, but also North Korea and China. The president is now juggling as well. All right, Daniel and Ivan, thank you guys so much for taking the time. Clearly a lot on the plate there.